Hi, a very good evening to one and all who's joined us together for the Text in Context October edition. First up, we have Dinesh, who will be presenting on drafting patent specification.
Hello everyone. We will see about the basic and some of the approaches in drafting patent specification. So in the first page of the patent specification, we have the title of the invention. The title should not be more than 15 words. The title should indicate the subject matter. That is, the title should be relevant to the invention while not disclosing the invention. So let's take an example. So we have a energy saving ceiling fan. So in which the energy losses is significantly reduced. So here if we say that the invention lies in the stator, then the title can be drafted as a stator for a ceiling fan motor. If the invention lies in the rotor, then the title can be drafted as a rotor for a ceiling fan motor. If the invention lies both in a stator and rotor, then the title can be drafted as a ceiling fan motor. So here, if the application here, it can also be extended to others, then we can broadly keep the title as electric motor or electrical machine. And we need to avoid using fancy words, that is saying novel ceiling fan motor or high efficient ceiling fan motor should be avoided. Then we can mention about the applicant details, that is a name, address, and the nationality of the applicant can be mentioned. Next is a preamble. So if it is a provisional specification, then the preamble is the following specification describes the invention. If it is a complete specification, then the preamble is the following specification particularly describes the invention and the manner in which it is to be performed. So next is a technical field. Technical field is related to the technological domain to which the invention belongs. So here, let's take an example. The disclosure herein generally relate to engines and more particularly to forced air induction system for the engine. So here engine denotes broader technical field, while forced air induction system, it denotes the specific technical field. So background, next is the background is deals with the conventional systems. So here we can mention about the closest prior art, and we can write down the differences between the prior art and the present invention, and we can add the problems of the conventional systems. Next is the objects. So object is related to the solution to the problem, that is a necessity for the invention. So here we can mention the principal object first, then the secondary objectives can be listed down later. So here we can also include the technical advantages. So next is a brief description of drawings. So here this is a short description about the drawings that are attached in the drawing sheet. So the drawings will assist a reader to clearly understand the invention that is disclosed in the patent specification. So in the drawing sheet, it is always preferable to use line drawings than solid drawings, since it may be objected by the examiner. It can also include schematic drawings, block diagrams, circuit diagrams, and flowcharts. So next is a detailed description. So detailed description gives a comprehensive information about the invention in detail. So the detailed description should enable a person skilled in the art to recreate the invention, and it should also specify the best mode of operation, that is the working of the invention. So here we will see about one of the approaches in drafting detailed description, that is a flow in which the detailed description can be drafted. So first we can list down the elements that are present in the invention, and we can mention about the function and the applicability, and we can also mention about the other alternate applications. Then we can move on to the constructional details. There is each function of each element and the constructional detail should be explained in a sequencing manner as per the reference numerals. So next we can mention about the alternatives, that is the alternate embodiments. Then we can mention about the method. Later we can mention about the working of the invention, and at last we can mention about the technical advantages of the invention. So next is statement of claims. So claims define the scope of protection for the invention. So it should have at least one claim. So there is no limitation on the number of claims. So claims should be supported by the specification. So here, whatever we are going to claim, it should have a support in the specification. And whatever that is not claimed in claims, it will stand disclaimed. So let's say if we have a main feature which is not claimed in the claims and we have a reference to that in the detailed description, then bringing back the element into the claims, it will not be possible. So there are two types of claims. One is the independent claim, which is a broad claim or standalone claim. Next is a dependent claim, which is a specific claim, and it is dependent on the independent claim or the another independent claim. So these are some of the pointers to consider while drafting claims. So the claim writer, it should be broader, not only covering the present embodiment, but it should also cover the alternate embodiments as well. It should be drafted from the infringement perspective. That is, the claims drafted, it should not be easy for the third party to evade. So if let's say the invention is not in a crowded art, then we can claim at least one element in the independent claim. So the number of elements that can be claimed in the independent claim, it depends upon the invention. And we can claim the principal novel elements in the independent claim, and the features of the principal novel elements or the secondary novel elements can be claimed in the dependent claims. And if we have sub-elements, let's say that if we have a component and we have a sub feature in that, then the broad scope should be provided for these sub-elements, so that evading the claim, it will be difficult for the third party. So let's take one example in drafting claim. So here we have a driving shaft and a driven shaft. So which is connected to belt and pulleys. So if we draft all the elements that are present, so in this manner, there is a driving shaft, a driving pulley mounted onto the driving shaft, a driven pulley mounted onto the driven shaft, and a belt adapted to connect the driven pulley to the driving pulley. So this gives a narrow scope of protection. So if we say that there is a chain and a sprocket drive in place of pulley and belt, then this will be a limiting claim. So here we have a broad claim in which if we say a driving shaft and a driven shaft are rotatively connected to the driving shaft. So this gives a broad scope of protection, and so we can claim the driving pulleys, that is belt and pulley drive, gear drives, and the chain and sprocket in the dependent claims. So next is merging multiple embodiments in a single set of claims. So here the example taken is a height adjustable vehicle having electric linear actuators for adjusting the height of the chassis of the vehicle. Second embodiment, it's about the usage of hydraulic linear actuators, and in the third embodiment we have the pneumatic or the mechanical linear actuators. So here we can if we maintain a single terminology, that is single broad terminology, let's say it's actuator, then we can cover all these embodiment in a single set of claims. Next is varied scope of protection. So here in the example, let's say that the vehicle, it includes element A, B, C, D, and E. And if we draft independent claim that is in vehicle comprising element A, B, and C in the independent claim, and element D and E are claimed in the dependent claim, then so let's say that if the third party wants to make use of element D and E, and in the vehicle he is not having the element A, B, or C, or if there is a modification in that, then it will be easy for the third party to easily evade the claim. So if we draft two set of claims, two independent claims, there is a vehicle comprising A, B, and C, and in another independent claim we have element D and E. So this will give you a very scope of protection, and it is a broad claim. And in example 2, we have an engine intake system includes air intake duct air filter and intake air manifold. So in the first independent claim, we are claiming all the parts of the air intake system. And in the second independent claim, we are claiming the air filters if it having a novel feature. So here we are not only claiming at the system level, but also we are claiming at the part level. So this will give a wide scope of protection. So here we can catch hold of not only the OEMs, but also the vendors who supply the product to the OEMs. Next is abstract. So abstract should start with the title of the invention. It should mention the technical field and the principal use of the invention, and the solution to the problem should be mentioned, and the technical advantages can also be mentioned. And the relevant figure that is to be published, it should be mentioned in the abstract. And the total number of words, it should not exceed 150 words. This is one of the approach in drafting patent specification. So once we have a complete understanding about the invention, one can start drafting the claims first. Then the title, technical field, background objects can be drafted later. Then we can continue with the drawings. And if there are any revision in claims, we can revise it. And if it is not, we can continue with the detailed description. And finally, we can complete with the abstract. Thank you.